This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know that I know nerds. This is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, I know that I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the S4Y Vlogcast. This is episode number 27. I'm joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, who I stole the intro from, Christian Soto. He's going to give you the rundown of today's show from seemingly a gym in New Jersey.
It's always a gym in New Jersey. We are brought to you by Bitcoin, the world's ninth most valuable asset. We're climbing fast. We finally found a sponsor. We're going to be millionaires, and we're going to have the Bitcoin logo right where the Google logo should be. Google, you could kick rocks. We're here now.
Is it true that you're the 8th most valuable asset on the planet?
Yeah, it depends who you ask. It depends what girl you're talking to at the right time. I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, I don't want to hype myself up. You got to put yourself down a little bit and then let other people bring you up. But I'm happy to see you, man. I feel like it's been a full 10 hours since I saw you last on a stream.
This is true.
How was your today? I got a massage. It was really nice, and the lady, however, I think she had a little bit of like a butt fetish, you know? Like it was a 2-hour massage, but I think she spent an hour on my butt. Like...
So hold up. When you are not interested in a woman, she's a lady. When you are interested in a woman, we talk about shorties and the girls and the trulies.
You're learning the language. Okay, bro. You're learning quick. Okay. You learn quick. I like that about you.
I actually got a massage 2 days ago as well, and it was quite the experience. So it was called a forehand massage, and not forehand, like four hands.
No, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, awesome. Can't recommend it enough. You get like twice the work done in half the time, which is glorious because I don't like sitting through a 2-hour massage. But secondly, it was quite entertaining to me because, you know, you're face down the whole time. So I played a game with myself of trying to guess which masseuse was on which side of the table at all times. I think by the end, I like really had it nailed down.
That's really cool, man. There's a lot of stuff that happens. It's been a busy week in terms of news, both good and bad. But let's start with our new WSOP Main Event Champion, the World Champion. Not really sure if he's like the 2020 champion or the 2021 champion. I don't know, man. He's the world champion. His name is Damien Salas. He flew all the way from Europe to come here, battle heads up, win the $1 million free roll, brought his shorty, and he's ready to go. His shorty kind of looked like Jamie Christian, though. I got to watch out.
I saw
it. Like, pull it back for you to see it. I think that's a little bit, I mean... That could be her. That could be Jamie Christian, her mom. Like, I don't know, man. Anyway.
I'm not touching this. Yeah, congratulations to Damien. He is quite the seasoned player. I don't know if you saw Pads put out a tweet like congratulating him a couple days ago, and he was basically highlighting that Damien's a grinder. Like, hasn't missed a Sunday in like 13 years or something of that nature. I guess like right after he won the Kings final table, Pad said that like he was there playing the 1K high roller on party that following Sunday. So like he just never skips a beat. Obviously he has main event final table experience prior. His biggest lifetime score prior to this was 1.4, I think.
Wait, so he won the Kings main event and then played a 1K then like right away?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like right back on the grind.
It's 1-800-GAMBLER in America. I'm not sure what it is in Europe, but this guy has a little bit of problems. Like if I'm sitting there with
final
millions,
tabled it.
I get it, man. Like I'm just saying, like I don't know if I could do that. I mean, hey,
some people invest in Bitcoin. Some people put in a long Sunday grind. You know, it's all about the returns.
Oh man, some you know, you gotta enjoy your life too. You know, like what are you what are you playing for at the end of the day? You know, everybody is on this new shit, right? It's like, oh, if I push the rock up the mountain and it gets to the top of the mountain, I'll push it down myself. It's like, all right, bro, I get it. You won the fucking Kings, and then you wanted to play on Sunday, the final table again. Fucking syphilis over there, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Christ.
What's the name? What's the name of the guy?
Sisyphus.
Whatever. Syphilis.
There's no saving you, man. There's no saving you.
Okay. I'm just saying, it's fucking insane. The guy's a psycho. I mean, he's really going hard. I saw Darren Elias also won something massive on GG for like 150K.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, they have that circuit.
Sorry, let me not do that justice. 450K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so their circuit series is huge then. This like winter series that they put on.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I just saw that he won.
They did a winter circuit series right after the WSOP American side was doing a 10K main event or whatever. And I saw that like it was a pretty hefty schedule. I think it was like, man, I'm not going to get this right, but it was like millions in guarantees, like maybe 4.5 million in guarantees or something like that. But I didn't think that they were getting that big. Like 450K, I assume this is like a 1K buy-in with like, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 runners.
It's pretty sick. Like, people think Darren Elias is washed. He's not washed.
Who the fuck
people think he's
Darren
just like
Elias
chilling.
is washed?
People think Darren Elias is washed, man. People are like, oh, he's just in his house in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, fucking cooking ribs and shit. Like,
nobody knows, man.
He's not.
He's a killer, and I don't think that honestly, like a year off of live poker, I think really hurts the guys who are just absolute crushers in that realm. Like as far as their Q score, let's call it in the poker community.
The power rankings.
Yeah, the power rankings. Like a guy like Darren Elias falls because people forget how fucking good he actually is. But like, you know, WPT is just going to start back up sometime in the spring, and he's just going to go make 3 more final tables and win one.
First time I played with Darren Elias in my entire life, it was a Harrah's 1700 WSOP circuit event, main event, right? Mm-hmm. So we play, right, like the whole day, whatever. We end up bagging. Like he was there from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, right?
Okay.
Then the day's over, he's bagging, and I'm like, damn, this guy actually like he played pretty good or whatever, right? So he like grabs his phone, and I'm like looking at him as I tag. I was like pretty happy that I bagged more chips than him. I was like kind of making sure that I was like comparing myself to him. I didn't even know who he was. Then he gets on the phone and he's like, hey, is there any 1025 or bigger running? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like he was like calling Borgata, like asking for a fucking big game. And then he's like, all right, can you put me on the list? I'll be right there. And I'm like, this motherfucker's a psychopath. Yeah. Like he just played all day, like literally from like 11 a.m. to like 8:30, and then goes and wants to play high stakes cash.
Bro, that's a short day for MTTers, man. Usually they're used to bagging at midnight, you know?
Freaking guy, man. And then ever since then, like I just see him all the time wearing his fucking Adidas fucking hoodies and
North Face, always North Face.
North Face. All right, well, you know.
I like Darren a lot. I have a couple funny stories about him. Number one, his dad was my athletic director in college. Small world.
Really?
Yeah. He was the head football coach at Gannon University. Like I want to say, maybe like 98 to 2001, and then he took over the head AD role. So like I was there from like 2001 to 2005. So like in that 4-year span, he was both the head football coach and then the AD.
You think you're a better athlete than Darren Elias?
Yeah, close.
Nice.
I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about his athletic.
Set up an Ironman. We're gonna set up an Ironman for high stakes.
I don't know enough about his athletic history. I would trust that he's a very good athlete, though. I think that let's say that without knowing anything,
trying to get a better
I'll
price.
backtrack a little bit.
Better price. He's trying to get a better price. He's like, yeah, make even money.
I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. Without knowing his athletic past, I would say we're comparable.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, if he didn't play sports as much as I think that he did, then yeah, I'm probably a better athlete. But I'm imagining with a dad who was a football coach and an AD, he probably played a lot of sports.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of funny, right? I mean, he also has like the cutest little girls. It's pretty awesome. All right. Some things that you both are probably going to play is this WSOP circuit, which is going to be online, which is going to be almost a year-long thing. So It's going to start January 14th, and it's not going to end until we're almost in 2022 with Bitcoin at 100K.
Mm.
So it's going to be like a year-long thing. There's so many things going on. I know that before we started, you kind of went through all the bullet points of, what are the things going to include. I felt as if you were relatively impressed. I am going to say nice things about WSOP today because it seems as if they got this one right. I give credit where the credit is due, right? So I'm gonna let you kind of take over because I know you were kind of walking through it, but
yeah.
fill me in.
So it looks like they're gonna do a monthly series. So for 2 weeks out of every month for the next 12 months, they're gonna host a circuit series. And quarterly, they're going to do a super circuit. So that's what we're about to play right now, coming towards the middle to end of January. The super circuits are going to include high rollers, including a 1K and a 2K event. The regular circuits will be a smaller average buy-in with only 12 rings instead of 18. Now, some of these you see are labeled by casino, like Planet Hollywood Circuit, Caesars Atlantic, Silver Legacy. I'm not even sure where that's at. I'm guessing it's on the East Coast. Basically, what that means is that that casino is sponsoring that month's circuit event and offering a cash in, cash out option at their local premise, as well as a poker rate for people to travel to stay there, grind the circuit out for cheap rooms. It seems like a smart business play for Caesars Properties to basically encourage people to do a small amount of traveling, stay on site, maybe start to fill up their rooms in a time where they're probably at, minimal capacity. And
they trying to get you in the building, man.
Yeah.
They want you to roll the dice.
That's right.
They want you in there, like 21. Try to get in. They trying to get you to gamble a little bit. They throw you a little bird.
Everything's always a marketing funnel, man. If I've
Yeah,
learned
for sure.
anything running a business over the last 5 years, every single thing you do needs to be funneling people to another thing.
Yeah, I actually think there's always the negative side. I'm going to start with the negative side, right? Because I'm going to get that out of the way. You're encouraging people to travel during the pandemic. Never
Sure.
good, right? Okay. Besides that, I think it's a pretty good event, right? It's they're throwing in a bunch of free rolls. I saw 25K free roll almost on every single one.
Every month,
right?
Yeah. So instead of
I
doing a
s-
year-long leaderboard, they're doing a monthly leaderboard, and the top, 100 or something like that will qualify for a 25K free roll.
Yeah, I think that's that's pretty generous, right? Like you add those up, there's a couple 100K, right?
It's 600K and added guarantees and prizes, or added money.
Right. So I mean, definitely positive, right? That's a big deal, right?
Mhm.
They're giving away 600,000 in prizes and free rolls, etc. They are making it easy to kind of cash in and cash out for people that struggle with that because the online process isn't that easy, to be fair.
Yeah,
Like
it's also capped.
it's kind of it's capped. It's annoying. It's like it's a process, right?
Yep.
Like especially for people that come from out of state or whatever and they're not really into it. It's nice to just like go to the casino that you normally go to, right? If you were someone that plays, let's say, the Bally's event, you're used to going to Bally's and cashing in and cashing out. So here you're like, okay, I'm going to Bally's again. It's kind of a familiar process to you, which is kind of nice. So I am a fan of this event from WSOP. I am, of course, not a fan of the traveling part of it, but the world has to move, sort of.
Yeah,
so to
I
speak.
mean, for all intent and purposes, whether they offer discounted room rates or not, if people want to travel to Jersey and Vegas to play these, they'll just Airbnb. So I imagine that like the majority of the people that are traveling probably aren't flying. I would assume it's like people from New York traveling to Jersey. I would imagine people from
I
Pennsylvania
don't know,
traveling
man.
to
There's
Jersey.
there's some Jewish kid, man, that I met one time. My man Ari Engel. He's out in the mix, man. He's
Yeah.
trying like wherever there's a store where there's a Will, there's an Ari
Yeah,
Engel.
but like he's close to Jersey, right? Like
Yeah, he's
I know
from
you're
yeah.
just using him as a general example, not specific, but yeah, you're right. There's probably some kid in
Not
St. Louis,
specific.
Missouri who like is gonna find a way to play all of these. Yeah, I mean the series is great for the grinders, and it's nice to do the super series because it'll bring guys like me in for sure. And speaking of funneling, I can't imagine how I won't be streaming the 2 weeks mid-January to the end. It just, it's incentivized. The prize pools are going to be big. It's going to be a lot of events where it's 30 to 50K to first, gets me out of bed, gives me a reason to flip on the stream. And fuck, man, we're going to be pulling double duty. I'm going to be...
Nah, man, you're going to be streaming every single day for the entire year. WSOP hired your ass after this. They got you every day. They got you Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then every day after that, they got you doing WSOP. That's it. They smart, bro. They're like, listen, how do we get Berkey to just stream every single day?
It's so smart. Honestly, it plays out so well, too, because, like, their events on the Polk days, at least on Fridays specifically, is always, like, who gives a shit? Not really going to play. It's like a $200 knockout. You're just like, whatever, don't care to play that one. And Monday and Wednesdays are like somewhat off days. Like Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday are the big days.
You think they did this by mistake, bro? Some of those people over there, they smart, bro. I see the cars they drive. They drive nice Teslas and shit. Mm-hmm. Like they smart over there. They know what's going on, bro. Anyway, talking about Daniel, kudos to WSOP, by the way. Another thing that's happening on WSOP, of course, is the Daniel and Doug Polk challenge. As you mentioned, Daniel has won 4 matches in a row. Not matches, excuse me. Sessions in a row.
I think it's 3 and 4 or 5. He had a small loser in between.
He's doing really good.
Yeah.
Okay. He's doing really well. And I'd like to take credit for that because I am going to say that if you come on the S4Y podcast, you go on a heater. That's just kind of how it works.
Right.
You come on the podcast, you go on a heater. D Moon Girl, she came on the podcast, she went on a heater. Like then, who else came on the podcast? Like everybody. Like my
Jeff
man,
Platt.
Jeff Platt, he came on the podcast. Boom! All of a sudden, he's like a WSOP final table or some shit.
I don't remember if it happened before or after, but let's pretend it happened after.
It all relates. It all relates. It's the aura of the thing. Then after that, my man, what's his name? Vibes. My man Vibes was on the podcast. He got corona. He recovered. It's all right. Like he didn't die, and then his girl didn't even get it. His girl didn't even get corona.
She was like, they were a heater.
They were in this. Yeah, they were in the same building doing allegedly nice things to each other, and they still didn't get corona. That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's
and you ran well. I got corona. You didn't get it, and I was asymptomatic. What more did you ask for?
That's what I'm saying. The podcast is a run good.
That's true. We're in a protected bubble here, if you will.
You know the guy that sent that photo behind you told me that he sent one of mine and that
it's here.
It should be at the office.
It is here. It's from Friday Night Poker.
Yeah, I wonder why it's not up. You guys
just
not
here.
Because you guys hostage everything. My Dominican flag's missing too. Anyway.
Don't know where that flag is. Honest to God.
Yeah, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he's won the last couple, right? More than a handful, or a handful rather. And this is kind of how it's gone. So he was down almost $1 million, and now he's only down 644,000. Only is a relative term.
Sure.
That's a lot of fucking money. Like that's a lot of money. But he's played a little bit over half. We've played 13,750 hands approximately. So still about 45% of the way to go. And, we were talking about it on stream yesterday. And it's not unreasonable for him to come back. Obviously, things have to go your way. It's one of those that, obviously you have to run good.
Yeah.
But if you chip away 100K a couple times, like, this ball game again.
Yeah, I could see a realm. I mean, I think it's like, a lower probability. Like he's not a favorite to do this, but I could definitely see a realm where he just strings together, 6 or 7 wins in the 6-figure neighborhood, and suddenly just it evaporates. But the thing is like, there's still like we hope that happens. Session 25, 26, 27, or sorry, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, right? So that like this thing actually is going to be super tight at the wire. It's kind of like a boxing match in that regard. You want to see just them exchanging blows as much as possible, but given that Daniel's losing, you really want to see him put together that stretch run in the final, 3,000 hands or so.
For sure. I think Daniel played really well last session. I
Yeah.
think he's stringing. I think we're seeing the evolution of Daniel. We're seeing him play like significantly better than he did, the first, 2,000 hands or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice to see. And one of the things that was especially nice to see was Lynne Ji on our coverage of this match.
It really
I
did
thought
just turn into a watch party.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be anyway.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be a watch party, and then it really was a watch party. And I really enjoyed her company, honestly. I said this before we had her on, that I felt as if she, at least on her appearance on High Stakes Poker, was someone that kind of like splashed onto the scene and had the star power to stay,
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't happen for a lot of people, and it's not like a female versus male thing. It's more that I just think that one, her style of play is very conducive to one that is very watchable, right? And also her personality is actually like pretty entertaining,
Yeah.
So it was fun to have, and you know having three people in the booth was a little bit worrisome for me, honestly, because it's like, three's a crowd, and but I thought it went really well with Lynn, and I am looking forward to see if potentially other people do join in.
Yeah, I prefer it. I would like to do as much three-way casting as possible from just the perspective of breaking you and I up a little bit. It's like we're already doing the vlogcast. We do so much together as a team, and I think you and I work really well together. But like this particular endeavor, I guess, of heads up, no limit hold'em with no hole cards exposed is the driest, most boring version of any commentary you and I will do together. And I think that like over the course of 40 matches, like that's just going to show, right? Like we can only speculate so much of where Daniel's winning or losing, where Doug is winning or losing. And I think that like it just becomes a little bit trite to continually make it about strategy. Especially when like the most that we can really say is like something speculative of like, hey, you should be folding these hands. And he probably got there with nothing
Right.
again, and like it's an air ball or whatever, right? So like I think about it in terms of like my streaming, whenever I'm like doing a full slate or something like that, and just doing it solo. I like talking strat, but I don't really like. It's not a really dense strategic heavy stream. It's more like conversational where I'm engaging with the audience as best I can, and like they're serving as my color commentary, if you will, right? Like I'm doing a little bit of analysis, but we're kind of like bouncing back and forth, making it conversational, and it does become a lot more of like that watch party type vibe. And I thought that like with having Lynn here, especially just like it's nice to have a female voice. She's on the aggro side of things, but like it's nice to have somebody like kind of dampen the competitiveness of us trying to just constantly insert some sort of like strategic advice or whatever. Like there's no stories that you and I can tell anymore. We've been through
I don't
them
know,
all.
man. There's a lot of stories. I got so many stories.
Yeah, there's new
Like,
ones, but like
no, they're old, but they haven't been told. Because the thing is, I have to watch my mouth, bro. I don't know. I don't
right,
know.
right. You can't do it live. You got to save those stories for here where we're recorded, and we could potentially just say, I don't know that the 4 a.m. strip club trip to Canada where Chin was found in the back room passed out is really one that we want to get out on the air.
I have a couple strip club stories. That's true. I do.
Yeah.
I do have a couple strip club stories. Shout out to Iris over there.
Sure.
Anyway,
But yeah, I just think it takes a ton of pressure off of you and I. Like we kind of just get to relax a little bit and be a lot more conversational, a lot more personable, as opposed to just having to be robotic, strategic operators.
So what are some of the people you'd like to see that join us? Right there's. I know that there's been we lost one of our own to the Joey stream.
Yep.
R.I.P. my man Landon Tice. Used to be part of the crew, but pour a little out for my man. Just where is this shit anyway? There you go. Where is this shit? There you go. Pour a little out.
Oh no.
The fuck. There.
That was such a brutal attempt.
I was trying not to fucking wet my entire shit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, sure.
yeah. But pour one out to my man Landon Tice, R.I.P. Never gonna see him back over here, it seems. But yeah, there's a lot of kids, man. There's so much talk about Jeremiah. Like, I feel like I hear his name every fucking day. Like, no one sees who this guy is. I can't wait for people to actually see him on the Poker After Dark, because his name just like lurks in the shadows and no one really knows who he is.
I think, I think he would want to do it. I think he would be a great addition to have from time to time. He's interesting, man. Like, and that's the other thing is like there's a part that I want to clip from yesterday where we kind of got like Lynne's backstory, and that's nice because like in some regards it almost turns into a podcast in that regard, right? Like you get to know these people a little bit better. I think the world needs to know Jeremiah a lot better. He's a part of a guinea pig rescue. He's like super passionate about this. I think it's like a fascinating story.
He has a lot of guinea pigs.
Yeah. So I think like getting that on air will be worth something. I know Lynne wants to do it again.
Second time I met Jeremiah, he was like, "My guinea pig is pregnant." I was like, "Wait, what?" That's literally that was like his opening topic to talk.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey man, good to see you. You know what's crazy? My guinea pig is pregnant." And I'm like, "Wait, is this guy joking with me right now?" I've never. I mean, that's insane.
This reminds me of a weird story. But when I was like 7 years old, I had a pet gerbil. I had 2 pet gerbils.
What's that?
Think hamster but smaller.
So a mouse.
It's of the rodent family. Not a mouse. It's a gerbil. It's different. Or sorry, it's a. What did I say? Not a gerbil. Fuck. Now I forgot what it was called.
That is what you said.
A gerbil, right? Yeah. A gerbil. It's smaller than a hamster. Smaller than a hamster, bigger than a mouse. Of the rodent family. I don't know enough about it. I just had a gerbil. I had 2 gerbils, right? One was black and one was brown and white. And yes, that's a gerbil. Adorable little creatures. So this is a tragic story in so many regards. So I had the brown and white one, similar to what Andre just pulled up first, and then we went and got a second one, and we were told that the brown and white one was female, and we were also told that the black one was female. So figured it was fine, right? Turns out one of them was male, and we assumed that it was the black one, because like, actually I don't know why we assumed that. I was just told that, I guess, by my parents, that it was wrong and that the black one was actually male. And the reason this is important, or the reason we even knew this, is because they had babies. So they come out these little tiny pink nuggets, man. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but they're totally hairless. They look like a little baby rodent, basically, right? So when they have children, you're supposed to remove the male because males are aggressive and will eat the children, right? So we remove the black one. Turns out the black one was the female.
Oh, shit.
Babies all get eaten. Tragedy. We had to bury them, right? We have a little burial for them. Yeah, that's a little gerbil baby. Little gerbil baby. So we're already suffering this tragedy, right? We put them back together, which I don't know why we put them back together. Of course, they're probably just going to have new gerbil babies, right? But they never had a chance, because what ultimately ended up happening is they escaped one night. And the house I was living in had electric heaters. So basically they ran along the baseboard. So this was like in the 80s, right? So they ran along the baseboard, and they have coils in them that are covered by metal, but there's an opening for the heat to escape. Well, after a few days of them being missing and a subtle stink coming from the living room area, it turned out that they had made habitat in the heating duct and got fried.
Oh, wow. Well, that's sad. That's actually sad.
Yeah, it's tragedy.
It reminds me of a story. I was talking to some girl.
How on earth does this remind you of a story where you're talking to some girl?
Because I'm gonna tell you. I was talking to some girl.
Oh man, okay.
I'll go over her house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she had this tattoo right here. It was like HBIC. At the time, I didn't know what that meant.
I don't know what it means now. Please fill us in. By the way, you should just be running at this point.
It should be. It means head bitch in charge.
Yeah. See, I knew it. I knew. The second that she has some sort of abbreviation tattooed on her wrist, you should be gone. Like that should be sign 1 out.
I kind of was like, damn, this chick is kind of fly.
Okay.
So whatever, like we're like kissing and stuff, and then like an animal just like climbs onto the couch.
Mm-hmm. An unidentified animal.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm like, what is that? And she's like, it's my ferret. That was the end of our relationship, bro. There was no way. I wasn't dating some chick with a ferret.
No, ferrets are chill.
Bro, I didn't even know what a ferret was. Like I'm Dominican. There's no ferrets in Dominican Republic. That's insanity.
Did it have a certain smell to it?
Did I tell you I was out? Like I was out. I was like, what do you mean that I have a certain smell? I was gone. Like I was like, yo, like we're done. Like there's no way. Like I'm not hanging around with a ferret and some girl that
ferrets are cute, man.
Ferret.
The only reason that like I've shied away from like ever wanting or liking ferrets is because I thought, if I'm not mistaken, that they secrete some sort of.
I thought you were gonna say like girls with ferrets.
No. But I think that they secrete some sort of oil that like has a stink to it, and it makes it very difficult to keep them as pets. I could be wrong.
So they're like fucking skunks.
No. Skunks actually spray you as a defense mechanism. By the way, we are so far on a tangent now, but I've been scrolling reels on Instagram a lot lately because I just tend to get bored for 15 minutes of time in the sauna, and there's this guy with a pet skunk who just like
they remove the glands.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I don't know. There's some weird people out there, man. They do that shit. They're like into the skunk. Like they're into the ferret. I was out.
I've seen like pet hedgehogs.
You see, like whatever happens to just like have a dog, have a cat.
My nephew got a boa.
A what?
A boa. A snake.
What's that?
A snake.
I'm out.
Like a constrictor. Here's my thing. Why? Why get a thing that just sits in a cage, does nothing? It's scaly. Like you're not gonna pet it or anything. All you do is you just like sit there, stare at it, and feed it a mouse every now and again.
I hope it gets out. Anyway, there was something you said yesterday on the stream that I thought was like actually kind of interesting that I think people on the podcast would like for you to expand on.
Okay.
And that was a statement that you made that you in 2021 you can pluck out a 510 regular and input them into a 200-400 live no limit hold'em game, and potentially they would do okay. Can you expand on why do you think that is? What do you think in 2021 allows that to be? And if there were oppositions, what do you think that would look like?
Yeah, so I should qualify. This should be rather specific. I think that you can pluck like big winners from any stake pool in the live realm.
The 1-2?
Well,
the 1-2 at Bally's and AC?
Not 1-2. No. Because like I guess like once you start getting to like 510 plus.
Okay.
Even 2-5 probably doesn't qualify because they would just be moving up or shot taking at that point if they had a sound strategy. But like once somebody gets to a point where they are a proven winner at like the 510 plus realm, I believe that most of them, assuming that they don't just strictly come from a live background, right? So I think age matters a little bit here. I think like plucking the biggest 510 winner from the age of 35 plus probably isn't going to translate. Although
they're not. Like,
although
unfortunately, this is the thing. Like, it's unlikely that the biggest winner at 510 is 35 plus.
Agreed.
Unfortunately.
I agree, but not necessarily because like if you're
there are exceptions. But
well, the thing is like they could just be stuck there, which will by default make them the bigger winner because they're so experienced and seasoned. Whereas like the younger kid who has a really sound strategy that's crushing 510 just moves. He just moves up. But I guess the point that I was trying to make is that young up and comers who are proving themselves at the mid stakes are doing so at a rapid rate because they have strategy. They have the availability to a lot of resources that like my generation and even your generation just didn't. So the biggest winners when we were coming up were the people who could outwit, outmaneuver, outthink, and kind of like outpace the field. That's not really the case now. Like using Landon as a prime example, he was playing micros a year ago. He's now playing like up to 10K NL online. And I don't think a ton has changed other than he's gotten more sound in his actual strategy, right? He's just added more layers to his strategy. And when you're talking about the live realm, due to the softness of each stake, that just translates into relatively large win rate. So now it does just become a money factor type thing and an opportunity, right? Like generally speaking, they're just not going to have the availability to play that game because nobody wants somebody playing a really strong, tight strategy to come sit in a fishy 200, 400 game.
Fucking nits. They just fold deuces under the gun, you know?
Yeah, can't breathe. Can't do it.
It's just like...
But, to be fair, I don't think that this is anything to be disheartened by. I just think it's where we're at in the landscape now. It is what it is, right? Like, strategies are necessary now, whereas in the past, strategies were a byproduct of being elite. Like, that was literally the difference, right? If you were elite, it's because you had a profoundly well thought out strategy. Now, if you're elite, it's because you have 100 layers deeper to your strategy than the players that are great. And you have 1,000 layers deeper than the players that are good.
Put the applications in. Bellagio 510. Berkey is signing you to a 200, 400, no limit hold'em stake. Just bring it on. Show us a tape of your, make a little vlog of your last 10 sessions so that he can evaluate where you fall in the landscape. And plug and play, baby. Plug and play.
I think it's less common than that. But I think like 1 to 5% of each player pool, and that number probably grows exponentially as you go higher. So like if it's 1 to 5% of the 510 players, it might be like 3 to 7% of the 1020 players, and it might be like...
That's the thing. I think there are like, okay, so at 510 Bellagio, I know that pool relatively well.
Mm-hmm.
I would say there's 1.5 players that can beat 2-4, like Sunrise can definitely beat it, and maybe some other kid, but I don't have enough of a sample. But like, that's probably fair, right? Like I would say in terms of regs, there's like 30 regs.
Okay, perfect.
And 1.5, like, or 2 regs.
Yeah, if we say win. 2 and 40, that's 5%.
Yeah. So 5%.
That's probably on par. And you're just talking about one casino, one stake at that casino, et cetera, et cetera. If we extrapolate that out to just 510 countrywide, you're probably going to have 5 to 25 people that you could pluck out of that pool.
There's so much variance though, right? It's like when you get to 200, 400, if these people lose like the first 5 sessions, like they'll probably never get another shot.
Right.
Like,
it's just like... So I think that's where I disagree. I think somebody like, when you, again, using Landon as the example, he can just, he'll just always be able to find funding.
But that's a very unique example.
It's only unique because he's public. Like
that makes a big deal.
Yeah, it does. It does. You're right. But like he's gone the way of branding himself at 21 as being the child of the sim and the next gen and the upcoming rising star. And he's aligned himself with people who can help facilitate and leverage that branding attempt, right? So because of that, and because he is obviously a winning player, he'll just always have the capacity to find the funding.
I don't know, man. The Bellagio 10, 20, 40 regs told me that they welcomed the kids. Like, tell them they were like, bring it on, bring on the funding, all this shit. We want to see it.
I get it, man. I have the same mindset. In the sense of like, they're different realms, and there's a certain corrective phase that has to take place. The thing is like, it's a little bit arrogant to say bring on a winning player to a new realm where he's going to struggle a little bit out of the gate, because
they didn't like being called perceived good regs. I get that.
I get that.
I had to hear it for a month, Burke. I was defending the young prince. I was like, he just doesn't know that you guys are straight killers. You guys. I was trying to make him feel good. I was kind of like,
sure.
I was giving them a little bit of the stuff. Like I was like,
you're playing host. You're playing host.
Yeah, I was like, listen, he just doesn't know that you guys really are the OGs.
Yeah.
Like, and he's trying.
But yeah, like at the end of the day, it's like. they're probably right. Landon probably will struggle a little bit out of the gate adjusting to live, but it's like to think that 100 hours in he's not just going to be crushing the game is not giving enough credit to his ability to get better. Fast.
They wanted the crossbook, Berk. I was like, chill, bro. Like, let the kid fucking lick his wounds online, man. Goddamn, you know?
He's done okay for himself.
Yeah, he's doing okay. Like, let the kid just live online. Some people just live online, and that's okay, you know?
Yeah.
You don't gotta play 400 big blinds deep. You know, you just it's
well,
okay.
I think that that's the other element of it too. Is like when I'm saying that you could pluck a guy like Landon and put him at any stake level and he'll compete immediately. That's very true, but to a certain degree or element of limitation, right? If he's in a lineup of people who are just accustomed to playing 500 big blinds deep always, and he's not, or he's not quite as studied in that arena, you're a little bit more in the Wild Wild West, and now experience is worth a whole lot. But also, his study is still worth something.
I am going. Yep, you're 100% right, Berk. I have the strategy. We're gonna invest in a couple guys that play 510 at Bellagio, and they're only allowed to hit. This is the strategy. Ready? We're gonna buy all the action. They're gonna get 20%.
Mm-hmm.
They buy in for 100 big blinds, and if they get to 250 big blinds, they're forced to get up.
Yeah. At the cost, and like even if it costs them the seat, we don't care because we're just gonna rinse and repeat. Well, we don't care. Like
we have the next guy behind them sitting in with 100 bigs. Of course, Lynne was telling me yesterday like how I'm so good at peace buying because I developed the strategy. I know where the EV is. Once they get to 250 big blinds, they don't know what the hell's going on. There's no PO. There's no fucking solver.
You know what the real problem is that it's not that the PO strategies become irrelevant at depth. It's that the field as a whole doesn't properly adjust. So like if you look at like a solver output for 500 big blinds, stack off ratios are going to be so fucking insanely tight, right? There are going to be spots where like it's too thin to stack off with a set simply because a bigger set exists. You know what I mean? Like a 3-bet pot where you flop like middle set on Jack 8X and like it just runs out clean, and like, there are going to be some instances where like 8s just can't stack there. Not that they'll be folding, but like they're not putting in that next aggressive action because you just run into jacks at equilibrium whenever you're getting into 1,000 big blind pot, right? Aces, kings, and queens just don't go broke there. But in the live realm, against like half of the field, they're fucking stacking ace jack there.
I was telling Landon, I was like, bro, king's going smooth for 200.
Oh,
what are you
for
talking
200?
Like,
what are you talking about? Like upwards of
king's
3.
going smooth, and he was like, nah, bro, that's crazy. And then I remember we played a 50-100 game at the Win, and I had kings like first rotation.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I remember just like going all in, and the guy calls, and I'm like, and I'm
for
good,
20K. Yeah, for 20K, like it just goes in, and I remember you just like table it, and I remember seeing the board like contained like a queen and a 10 or a queen and a jack with it or whatever. And I'm just
like, I need to have ace king. Like, it's just like. It was a smooth 200.
No, but it didn't. Do you remember? You got in queens versus ace jack for like 150. You got in kings versus what I assumed was at best ace king that hit. At best, like easily could have been ace queen or ace jack as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially like the party that it came from. Like,
what are you gonna do, man? It's smooth,
bro.
Smooth. Anyway, so on to a more somber note, right? There's been some negative things in the news. I will say that we will try to be the most unbiased that we can. I have my own personal opinions. I'm sure you do too. But yesterday was, and by the time you all see this, it will probably be a couple days. But
no.
Yesterday,
this is going out today.
Well, yesterday then, because we have the best production team in the planet. We recorded. It's out, baby. All right. On Capitol Hill, there was an event, and I don't necessarily feel like I will do it justice in terms of me kind of describing it. So I will just play the video. This is going to be the morning of. This is a photo. The morning of the Capitol building.
And remind me, they were all gathered because Trump was going to address the nation based on the Georgia results? Is that accurate?
I don't know, man. They were confirming the electoral college votes.
Oh, okay, so this
Yeah.
was a confirmation of the entire electoral college.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I have my own opinions of. So this is the morning. They're confirming the electoral college, effectively saying Biden is going to be our next president,
Mhm.
right? And then there is Trump effectively says a speech, right? Gives a speech and says like, they stole the election. We're going to go down to the Capitol and we're going to see what's up, you know?
I think
And
like additionally Giuliani spoke, and I think Giuliani used some aggressive rhetoric, something to the effect of, and I'm gonna get this wrong because I only heard the quote once or twice, but it was something to the effect of, "We are going to like bend our will, or make them bend at our will, to demonstrate that like we won't be bullied off of this election."
what a nice guy. So after that, this is the effectively right after the Trump supporters barricade themselves inside of the Capitol Hill, bombard the Capitol Hill, take over the Capitol Hill, and as you see, this is a picture in picture, side by side of, which is pretty just astonishing to see, right? This is a couple hours apart.
Yeah, pretty dystopian
And
looking.
and after that, we have a couple videos to show. One of which is the police sort of attempting to stop and then eventually saying, okay, like, we're done, right? And so we'll showcase that, which I have some thoughts too. We'll just kind of leave the thoughts to the end.
The crazy thing that I can't really put my finger on here is, was this a conscious decision of like, we are just outmanned to a degree where we can't fight this fight any longer? Or like,
So,
they weren't
yeah,
understaffed, right?
I mean, there's a
Or were
lot of
they?
people.
No, I know. Okay, so then I guess it becomes a better question of like, why were they understaffed? I know that there was imagery being demonstrated of what the Capitol building looked like during the BLM movement, and it was just like top to bottom military, or
Yeah, I mean, there was some talk there was some talk that Trump did not want to engage the National Guard, and it was Mike Pence that ended up having to make the call and saying like, okay, we have to bring on the National Guard. So they're just, the people that had the power were saying like, we're just gonna see what happens. Let our people protest the way that they want to protest. And I think that
this was from the BLM protest, correct?
Right. So this is the National Guard, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, it looks like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they just like didn't engage the National Guard until like Trump he didn't want to.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, like I guess this is more of more condemning their lack of planning, because I don't think that this protest or riot or whatever the fuck we want to label this as was like unprecedented, or maybe unprecedented is the wrong word, because maybe we don't have a lot of examples of this happening in history, but I don't think that like it was shocking. Like the idea that once Trump was confirmed no longer to be in office, the idea that his support group wouldn't in some way, shape, or form take to the streets and protest seems a little bit euphoric or far-fetched to believe that everybody was just of the impression and like, yeah, no one's gonna care, like whatever. We have a very clear, rational leader who is just gonna, confirmed that Biden is the new president. He's going to step down gracefully. He's not going to say anything inflammatory to his constituents. And we're just going to move through this nicely. It's going to be a smooth transition of power, right? There's just no way that anybody in any sort of position of power thought that to be true. So this now comes back to, in my mind, like, where the fuck are the checks and balances? Because there's no way that this ultimate decision lived and died with Trump. Like, if that's true, then we're fucking up big time in the checks and balance system, because obviously he's incentivized to let the country burn and then just say, see what happens without me.
I think Washington D.C. is like a unique scenario because it's not a state,
right?
And it's controlled by the federal government,
right?
So it's his call, right? So it's one of those that is like very unique in
but
that
the executive branch still has checks and balances, right? Like, I mean, I guess maybe it just moves slowly. And you're right that, like, ultimately he gets to be the one to decide, like, in the moment type of stuff. It just seems crazy that, you know, they planned this big gathering to confirm the electoral results, and nobody was of the impression of, like, hey, we're a little undermanned here. Should something break out?
I mean, who would have thought, though, right? It's like, it's insane, like, for you to think that.
I don't think it is.
That's so crazy. Like, if we live in a world where it's like you're confirming the electoral college and you just think there is the chance that people are just going to come in and barge the Capitol Hill.
This is very unique, right? Like, we know that this was under heavy protest and that the election was being contested. So that means that there is a large subset, right? There's 40, what was the popular vote? Like 53, 47. So there's like 47% of the country that is up in arms that their man didn't win.
And also there was a handful, more than a handful of senators that said, like, we're not agreeing with this, you know, like, we're not agreeing with this result.
Yeah.
So that also gives some credence to the argument of saying, like, maybe there's this contested, maybe there is, like, maybe the Democrats did steal the election. They haven't always been the most honest, you know, there's, you know, the Hillary Clinton scandal between, you know, how they stole the stuff from Bernie and also like the emails. And, you know, there's always been like this like conspiracy between, like, are the Democrats the most clean cut?
Sure, but we know that politics are corrupt as fuck. This is a different conversation, I think. This is more so messaging towards that 47% of constituents that are willing to, you know, now form a militia and attempt to overthrow their government, right? And that, in part, like, this goes all the way back to the debate when Trump was asked to denounce white supremacy groups, and he said, "Give me an example." And somebody said Proud Boys, and he said, you know, "Stand down and stand by." And it's like, you know, that is very clear cut, actionable messaging. And
people call it dog whistling, right? Like,
they're
effectively, like, he's saying things.
It's a subliminal message, that is clear to the people that it's meant to reach. And you know, his press conference yesterday was a lot of the same inflammatory speech. Like, we won't be denied the presidency. We're not going to let them steal this from us. And yeah, there's some fluttery words in between where it's like, you know, he kind of acknowledges that it's happened, but he's not going down without a fight. And we saw social media platforms have to take action because of that, because, you know, his reach and these platforms are being leveraged by Trump to message to this group that is, for all intent and purposes, inciting violence.
Yeah, I mean, there was the photo of the man in Nancy Pelosi's office, kicked feet up, you know, Nancy Pelosi.
If there's any comedy off of this, like, some of the photos are fucking... This is Brett Favre. This is Brett fucking Favre, man. He gave up on the Wrangler ads and he decided to overthrow the goddamn government.
I mean, this is the level of disrespect here, though, right? It's you're in Nancy Pelosi's office. I mean,
you know what bothers me the most?
Like, that's the Speaker of the House, man. Like, you're on the Speaker of the House's desk, kick feet up, talking about this election's ours.
You know what bothers me? And this is personal. This isn't. I'm not trying to lay some sort of rationality over this, but it bothers me that that image that we just saw is what the rest of the world believes America to be, right? Like they believe, yo, that is Brett fucking Favre, man, an American hero, a patriot. But no, like honestly, like the rest of the world and even a lot of America believes that that image of a grizzled man in his late 40s, early 50s, disrespecting the foundations of our government because he has different beliefs. The rest of the world believes that that's what America is. And there's a lot of this country that believes that that man represents what a patriot is. And that's so sad and disheartening to me. It's like, yes, I
mean, there are big moments, not to cut you off, but like there are big moments of that type of disrespect happening. Like I remember the shoe being thrown at George W. Bush, right? Like that's like a huge no one will ever forget that.
That wasn't in America though. Oh, you're saying like the rest of the world disrespecting America.
Yeah, but it comes from that, right?
Maybe. I don't know enough about that shoe incident. I just know that that was like a Turkish reporter or something like that who was upset, or maybe an Iranian reporter. It had more to do with our foreign policy.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So I think that that's very different in some regard. But yeah, maybe they do see George W. Bush as that same representative Texan who is imposing his will on their nation with the military, right? Like that's ultimately what it comes down to. We are this massive militant country that is supposedly a democracy and imposing its will upon other sovereign nations and non-sovereign nations across the world. And I get that. That's in some regard what makes us number one. And I understand that we're born out of the Industrial Revolution. The reason, another big reason why America is what it is because we won the Industrial Revolution, right? We were the first to industry in a lot of regards. Steel industry and many others are born out of America and an American innovation. So I think that like this idea of being a blue collar worker, a guy who looks like Brett Favre, who had a tough upbringing and is gritty and grizzled, and the irony is like I believe in all of these virtues, right? When they're virtuous. But now it's just become this level of like arrogance and dismissiveness where alongside all of those virtues comes closed-mindedness, comes bigotry and all this other negativity that gets thrust into a narrow-minded view of the world, a very self-centered view of the world where it's like, it's
a lot of people would say that you like missed the word there though.
Racist?
Like at least a lot of
I said bigot. I said bigoted, but yeah, for sure. Like it gets funneled through a lens of here's the belief, right? I'm gritty and hardworking. I bust my ass to be where I'm at today. And it just completely ignores the luck factor, right? Of how much of that is a byproduct of being a white male in a first world nation where we prop that area up, right? So yeah, I mean, it's ignoring like, you take a guy like Shamath, that is a big byproduct of like what a true American patriot looks like today, right? Like this guy is from an immigrant family who came here or didn't even come here with nothing. They came to Canada with nothing, right? He made something of himself. He's a tech billionaire who's now pursuing altruism and trying to shift the technological background into more altruistic motives, right? He's using the wealth that he's accumulated to further good. Like this is what the new generation patriot needs to be accepted as, is multifaceted, versatile, multicultural. Like I'm sorry, we're just not a Wrangler's ad anymore. We're not the Marble Man anymore. Industry is fucking dead. We're not building steel mills and railroads and all this other shit that was necessary to get us through the 1900s. We're into the next generation. And in order to progress this country forward, we have to embrace the fact that we're a melting pot and we're getting a lot of the best and brightest from other countries.
I'm gonna make the argument of the little bit of the Republican side, or the other side at least. I don't want to label it. It might not be fair. Okay, so you have all these people that are mostly not white, right? I'll say that need help, and the left is basically saying, okay, we'll help you because we're going to print an endless amount of dollars until we can prop you up or at least get you by. And the right side is saying you're destroying the US dollar and to help these people that don't even help themselves. And this is creates this like massive war internally.
Sure. I mean, I'm not versed enough in foreign policy to get deep into this, but on a surface level, yes, we have an illegal immigration problem, or I should say, we have an immigration problem as a whole. But to imply that somehow one of our one of our political parties is somehow for smaller government than the other is just a farce that's kind of been being misled for 30 years. We didn't balance any budgets with Republicans in office. We didn't reduce any printing or spending in any of really the last 5 to 7 presidencies, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a global wide issue. We've had an economic crisis globally for the better part of 10 years, and putting a hyper focus on this small little issue is missing the forest for the trees. I think.
Oh boy.
I think that, like, we have to start to attack core problems. Technology is making people rendered useless, specifically in an industrial nation like the United States. And if we don't get better, if we don't start to become top 5 in education again, if we don't get better at STEM and the sciences and things of that nature, we are going to get left behind, and the dollar is going to either hyperinflate or just become not the world currency, because other nations are going to put an emphasis on things that matter. You're going to see India or China or other sovereign nations that are larger than us, that have the ability to lean into tech more than we're willing to, take over. And that's not a byproduct of us having open borders. That's a byproduct of us not exporting anything other than our fucking military for the last 35 years. What do we send anywhere else? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. We send companies elsewhere because it's too fucking expensive to operate here in a lot of ways. And you can say, like, oh, that's a democratic thing. Like, they want to come after corporations. They want to hike up corporate tax, yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, okay, sure. How much tax did Amazon pay under the Trump regime?
Zero.
Right. So it's like,
Little
what are we
zero.
even talking about? Like, $1 trillion industry paying nothing to the federal government that operates in the United States. It's way, way, way more complicated and convoluted than pointing the finger at somebody who doesn't look like you.
That's a fact. So I don't know, man. A lot of the memes yesterday were, I thought we left 2020 behind, and it doesn't seem like the problems are going to stop here. I don't know what's going to happen, man. Obviously, Trump's power influence is massive. It's probably like, it's bigger than any other president I've seen. Like,
his what happens when you elect a celebrity in a time frame where celebrities' value or reach is at an all-time high.
Yeah, his sway is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like, all jokes aside, like, this was the most popular election, right? Like the record numbers.
The most number of people voted.
Yeah. Right. The most number of people, but it was only as the left only came out as a response,
mm-hmm.
right? Because they were so afraid that Trump would get reelected,
mm-hmm.
right?
And not even. Sorry, not to correct you, but it wasn't even specifically the left. It was the center. It was the undecideds and the independents. Mm-hmm. Like, they came out in droves because finally they feel like their vote matters, and it's not a vote for; it's a vote against.
Right. Right. It wasn't a vote for. Right. It wasn't a vote for Biden. It was like, we don't want Trump anymore. Right. I don't see Trump going away, though.
Right.
Like I don't see him like riding off into the sunset and like playing golf the next 4 years. That's like not what's gonna happen. Like I think he really enjoys that his voice is meaningful, and it is. Like whether we want to hear it or not,
Yep.
it matters. It carries a lot of weight. So I think we're just gonna see Trump the next 4 years, man. Like he's just going to be part of Twitter.
So
He's
here's a few things that I don't disagree with you, but I think that it's worth acknowledging that something very profound happened yesterday. And on the backside of this, I'm going to explain like what my fear of this is. But something very profound happened. We may have just witnessed the destruction of a political party. Like we may have just watched the Republican Party get crumbled to its knees, because politically speaking, this has to have a ripple effect. There just have to be a significant portion of the party that doesn't agree with these tactics and can't back the Trumpian narrative any longer. And that's going to hopefully result in a stronger third party, right? A stronger central party, be it libertarian or otherwise. We also probably witnessed the probability of Trump making a run in 2024 get reduced to near zero. Again, it's the exact same thing, right? There's way too many people on the fringe who just like can't get behind the idea that it's patriotic to overthrow the Capitol building in the name of your guy that you voted for, right? So those are potential pros, but I think that they come with very significant dangers, because I think what we may also have witnessed was the first stone throw, or maybe the second stone thrown in an uprising of a potential civil war. And it's terrifying, because even though they may not make up the simple majority, I think that they make up a fair portion of the country in very specific regions nonetheless, right?
Yeah,
So
I
if
mean,
you
the
look
whole,
at
the whole middle America, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
if you look at the
entire
way
middle America
if you look at
and
the way the
South.
map, right? If you look at the way the map votes, largely excluding purple states, because I think that that's where you'll see the fringe sway very hard towards anti-violence and not having a civil uprising. There's just a lot of rural America that thinks what happened yesterday was a very good event. And that's terrifying, because like they're armed and they're prepared. And I don't think the idea of a militia formulating is all that unheard of. And what frightens me is that I don't know how that ends, because the fact of the matter is we are the most powerful military in the world by 20x. And we have one of the strongest nationwide police forces that you're going to, like, we are one of the most policed nations in the world. And we allowed what happened yesterday to happen, right? Be it poor planning or lack of a response, we allowed that to happen. And my fear becomes like, I don't think that we ever want to live into a nation where we're turning the military or police on its own. But I also don't know what the response would be to a well-organized militia.
I hope you all enjoyed the Solve for Why. I'm sorry I had to leave you guys with like such a somber note, you know. I felt like, you know, Berkey kind of I wanted to leave you guys with that kind of thought, right? It was like a thought-provoking kind of thing. You guys can leave it in the comment section what you think of Berkey's thoughts, what you think about, you know, me never leaving, you know, a state that's blue ever again. All these kind of things, you know. I'm kind of scared, man. I ain't white like Berkey, you know. I know I cut my hair and everything, but I'm still Spanish as fuck. So I hope you all enjoyed it, man. I am curious what the next 4 years is gonna come. What the next 4 years is gonna be. I'm also curious what develops out of this entire thing, right? Some people were calling for the impeachment of Trump. You know, Bitcoin went ballistic when that happened because people were trying to run away from the United States dollar. And now we have poker companies dictating global policy. because that's what we're gonna do from now on. Right, Berkey?
I'm in, man.
Help me out here.
I'm in.
Berkey, he's a newfound Bitcoin millionaire. He's gonna be doing policy now. He's moving.
No,
He's moving.
I'm out. I take it back. I'm out.
Him and Chamath are they're moving into other things now, and we'll have Chamath on soon, and Berkey and him will talk about the new plans that they have for 2021, and congratulations, Berkey. You know,
On a lighter note, we'll see you guys.
Two commas is strong.
Get the fuck out of here,
I'm gonna call you 2 comma Berkey.
It's all paper, man. It's all just on paper. I'm like 99% assets right now. Like 1% dollars.
That's the difference between like the super rich and the the regular people. The super rich have assets. Berkey, you have assets.
Well, it's by design. I mean, I had mostly dollars a year ago, but the dollar is going drastically down in value and assets are at an all-time high. So like, I think it's important to do your due diligence and protect yourself from the worst case scenarios. But on a lighter note, we are going to be streaming DNegs and Doug again tomorrow. I believe we may have a guest that's up in the air. We're going to try to do a lot more 3-way streams in the future. And we also have a vlog that will be coming out over the next couple of days, recapping our Austin trip. So stay tuned for that. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and show the channel a little bit of love.
If Daniel wins 200,000, I am giving away a bunch of subscriptions to the S4Y channel. So root for Daniel. If you don't want to root for Daniel, don't tune into our fucking stream. Good night.